Mark, we are for March and April reading this book called A Happy Pocket Full of Money. But the title of my lesson is A Happy Pocket Full of Whatever You Desire. Now, the title of this book, when I first read it, I said, yeah, I know why David titled it that, because it becomes more attractive to a lot of people. But then there are other people who are like, oh, are you doing this thing about money? Which already shows some judgment about being called to have a pocket full of money. We're not meaning this from a superficial level. The subtitle is Infinite Wealth and Abundance is Here and Now. And money is just a vehicle. If we're just focused on money and on greed and I got to have more money, then it might not feel so good. But we all know that money is what allows us to do what we want to do, express what we want to express, to know our greater truth. Once we get into the book and we start realizing the principles that the book is teaching us, we realize, well, it doesn't have to be money. It's a happy pocket full of love, joy, peace, relationship, better creativity, expression, whatever that may be. Let me ask, who's reading the book? Okay. Maybe about half the room. And for those of you reading the book, you didn't know you were going to be tested. What's the affirmation? I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. So for those of you that aren't reading the book, every other paragraph is I am abundance. I am wealth. I am abundance. I am joy. In reading the book, there are several of us that have been talking about the book, and we could do 50 lessons on this, meaning every Sunday, because it is so powerful, so good. It definitely speaks to the spiritual principles that we practice here, but it uses contemporary language and, don't get afraid now, quantum physics. I debated on how much I wanted to talk about quantum physics because those of you are like, oh yeah, you work at the university. Immediately tune out. Please don't tune out. This book does a really good job where you don't have to understand all the science about it, but that in reading it, the book does a good job essentially describing to you why it matters to you what we have discovered based on science. First, I want to talk about want versus desire. I'll ask the question, what is it that you desire? And the reason why we use desire is because desire is sort of like, oh, it's already out there. What do you desire? It's an expansion. It's a feeling of a focus, an aspiration. But when I ask, what do you want, or when we say, I want, that tends to come more from a lack or a limitation. So, of course, at the Center for Spiritual Living, we are focused on words, right? We did Atlas of the Heart by Brené Brown, which focused on understanding the meaning and the power of our words. So I want to make sure that when I ask you, what do you desire, it's not the same thing as what do you want. Desire comes from, again, the idea of expansion from where you already are. Now, when I ask you the question, what do you desire? For some of you, that might be a big question. What do I desire? For some of you, you may know immediately. For others, you may feel like I need time to ponder that question. And when I asked myself, what do I desire? Self-reflection. I found myself sort of not really directly answering the question. I said, I'm comfortable and thankful for what I have. You see how I sidestepped that question? Now, an abundant attitude does appropriately acknowledge and express the gratitude for what we already have. But I found myself using that word comfortable What do you think that led me back to? Our annual theme. Oh, yeah, I'm being called. Courage over comfort. And so then I realized, hello, Kathy. I'm being called to the annual theme, Courage Over Comfort. I compassionately had to have a talk with myself and realized that I wasn't directly answering the question. What was it that I was going to desire? And that I was a little complacent because I'm comfortable. I wasn't choosing to be courageous, and courageous means reaching, growing, stretching, being brave. So, what do I desire is now my homework. Now, I would tell you in my younger days, if you asked me what I desire, it might have been things. I want a house, I want a good job, I want a partner and a family and friends, or maybe a successful career. So, maybe it would have been more of a status or proof of my value. But based on the experience of my life, it's not the things that I desire. When I asked myself the question and spent the time to go deeper, I realized that my expression of what I desire took me back to my purposes, and I say purposes. I originally, when I started Science of Mind, it's very powerful to know your purpose, and my purpose started out as to learn to love better and to learn to love more. And I remember using that purpose for so many things through my life, getting me through some very difficult times with my sister passing away at the age of 39 with cancer and having a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old. That was a traumatic experience in life. And then experiencing my sister-in-law being murdered by her husband. And then she had a 1-year-old, and that 1-year-old was with multiple families before my partner and I decided to adopt him. There were a lot of things that I kept saying to myself, I am here and in this circumstance to learn to love better and to learn to love more. And then when I became a practitioner and a minister here, my additional purpose, there's nothing wrong with having multiple purposes, right? Your soul's not here for just one purpose, to inspire myself and others to discover the wisdom within. And that involved a lot of transition of the faith that I was raised in to the faith that I practice now. And then when I was accepted as a leader here in 2016, 8 years ago in May, it was to create, inspire, and engage community to know our oneness together. Inspire, empower, transform. And then, most recently, at the university, enrollments are down, budgets are down, so things are shrinking, do more with less, which for some of us, I'm looking at Scott, have been through this a couple times at the university. And I'll just say it's heavy. Yeah, it's heavy. And I realized in particular meetings that it was heavy, and I said, what am I going to do about this? And it came to me, I'm here to bring joy. And I'm here to bring joy wherever I go, being authentically me. You guys remember the annual theme from last year? Being your true, authentic self. See, as we practice together, this stuff sticks with us, and it supports us in going forward. And so you can laugh. I now walk into my boss's office with either glasses, noses, or bow ties or something to make sure that I'm walking in saying to myself, I'm here to bring joy. So I really want to invite you that if you know your purpose, bring it back out, remind yourself of what that is, and or ask yourself, what is your purpose now? Now, why would I bring up knowing your purpose? Because when it comes to asking the question, what do I desire, it lines up with my purpose. I know that when you are living a life of purpose, then it's not just doing things I desire like, oh, that would be nice, oh, that would be nice. But there's meaning and fulfillment behind what it is that fulfills your desires. And I highly want to recommend, how many practitioners and ministers do we have in the room? Everybody look around. Meet with them to re-inspire yourself, to know your purpose, and to be living that purpose. That is key. And this book will support you in really making that purpose line up with your desires. The book woke me up when it says, if you fail to create bigger goals for yourself, you stop growing. Now, I consider myself a lifelong learner. And I thought to myself, well, that's not where I want to go. I want to keep growing. And then it said, if you stop creating bigger goals, you signal to your body that you are done, that life is wrapping up. I don't care how old you are, life is never wrapping up. You can still create and you can still learn. Are you with me? Yes. Are you with me? Yes. Wake up, awaken. There's still plenty to create. Because as the Bible says, without vision we perish. You think society needs a vision right now? How about us? Do we have a vision? Yes. We have a purpose. We have a vision. For thousands of years, people of many faiths have known what Jesus stated as, "It is done unto you as you believe." That's what we practice here. Not what you think you believe, not what you hope you believe, but what you really believe subconsciously. So I know some people who don't understand the science of mind can say, oh, you do those affirmations. Well, yeah, if you don't really believe those affirmations, then, or I'll test it out. What's your real belief if you're thinking you're going to test out whether these affirmations work? They don't really work. You're not really believing it. We have the luxury to live in these times where quantum physics, simply explained in this book, now scientifically proves how that works. So are you going to use it? Again, you don't need to study or know the depths of quantum physics, but you can understand how it works to show you how your beliefs are showing up in your life. Showing you how your beliefs and your thinking create matter. Nothing's really matter. We all know it's energy now. And what happens when the observer observes energy? It changes. Wonder how it changes. Well, what do you believe you're looking for? It shows you how you can reap what you sow. And again, quantum physics shows you even how before you ask, it has been given to you. Because in reality, it truly already exists. And he said in the book, science is catching up with spirituality. And I'm like, I don't expect science to keep up with spirituality, but is catching up with spirituality by explaining how spiritual principles work. And again, the book is just also so full of, here's what you can do. Grab a journal, sit down, here are some questions. You have to practice it, right? I want to be strong, but I don't do anything that develops my muscles. It's not going to happen. Same thing with spiritual practice. We have to do our spiritual practice, which would include sitting down with the book and journaling and determining our purpose and our desire. Now, let me tell you, there's no deadlines for that. That's part of my problem. If I had a deadline, that's probably not even a good word, deadline. Of course, I have time for my spiritual practice and realizing now that this book, and again, several of us are reading this book, and it's like, shall we do more than a book club? Shall we do a class? Shall we do a mastermind? What shall we do? I am really interested in hearing from you as you read this book, what you would like to do together, because it's very powerful. and to support one another in this endeavor of seeking our desires. And then we even talked about, yes, it's true, we do have desires at this center, again, to know your truth, to be inspired, empowered, and to know what your purpose is and live that purpose, which is different for all of us. But we all do that with the common connection at the soul level of love, peace, joy, power, beauty, light. So, I don't know how this happened. Oh, it's serendipitous. Those of you who know me know I'm a book fiend. I have lots of books that I've bought that I've not read. But somehow while I was reading this book, I still ordered this book on Amazon and started reading it at the same time. It's no coincidence. This book is called Moving Through Parallel Worlds to Achieve Your Dreams. Sounds a little out there? Notice the book cover? Yeah, sounds a little out there. I want to say that, I came to this center in 1989, became a practitioner in 98, a minister in 2000, and Science of Mind has carried me through life in joyful ways as well as, again, getting through difficult times. And I have said many times, and I will continue to say it, it's wonderful to already have a spiritual community when life throws you not pleasant experiences, in my case, as my father passed away. Wonderful to have you all, to know that while I was centering on his care and my family's care, that I had a spiritual community praying for me, supporting me, and that showed up in so many ways. So again, a community doesn't ever have a deadline, but having community, spending time, engaging with each other creates the community that allows us to all support each other and to continue to expand and know our greater truth. So Science of Mind had taught me a long time ago that all things are possible. Anything you think is possible because you can't think outside of God. So everything you think is, so to speak, within all possibilities. And all possibilities already exist here and now, because frankly, time is just something that man created. There is no such thing as time, really. Past, present, and future are all here now. So when I learned those principles, my thinking was always that, yes, I believe that, I understand that, and it lived sort of in my imagination as all of those things. Not really like a cartoon, but I'm going to use cartoon because how do you describe imagination in your mind, right? How do you describe the thinking that happens in your mind? Okay, then after reading both of these books, I realized this is how Science of Mind works. You get the first layer, and then life happens, and you get the next layer, and you hear it again, and then you get the next layer, and it goes on forever, you know. We're forever expanding. But after reading both books, I realized the parallel worlds exist in reality, proven by quantum physics. Which means your next ideal parallel world is already here. And you can just step into that. So, Mo in the next reality goes out that door, and Anne goes out that door. That reality exists right now. We're not experiencing it because that's not what we're observing. But there's also another parallel world that has them doing the opposite entrance exits. And many other billions of zillions of things that could happen in between then. They literally already exist. You get where I'm going here? Like in reality. Not just in my mind. Does that sort of blow your mind? I'm glad I got that across because I'm like, I don't know if this is if this is going to make sense. All right. Can I have the first background, which is supposed to be up? Which I forgot to cue Scarlett on, the first background. I put it in, yeah, no, the other one. It is never too late to reinvent yourself, start a new career at 40, fall in love at 50, learn to dance at 60, start a whole new life at 70. Stop saying you can't. You can and you should. I don't like to should on anybody. Dreams don't have an expiration date. So, again, looking at myself, it's like I've sort of gotten complacent. Kathy, what do you want to create? You have this incredible power. What do you want to do next? And then the second slide. You can rise up from anything. You can recreate yourself. You're not stuck. You have choices. You can think new thoughts. You can learn something new. You can create new habits. You can decide today and never look back. What are we also discovering in science about neuroscience, about learning? For dementia and growing older, what are they telling us to do? Keep learning. Sometimes we fool ourselves. Oh yeah, it's a new day, I'm learning. No, have you set an intention to take a class? Have you set an intention to go do something you've never done before? Why? Courage over comfort. So what I've learned in these books is conditions are just illusions. They're not real. And we're living within our conditions. And then we let those conditions tell us what's possible or not possible. But you can choose to be in your next ideal parallel world. But we're too attached to the current situations in life, the constructs that we have created that have gotten us over time right here where we are. If we could just detach, we could immediately be in that ideal parallel world by just choosing it. Page 147 of the book says, liberate yourself from what's come before. What you desire exists right here and now. Walk into it. How do you do that? You know, in Science of Mind, we talk, when we do spiritual mind treatment, which is our form of affirmative prayer, where do we start? We start by thinking about God, universal source, greater, higher power, whatever you want to call it. We start there. Guess what? First place to start. He literally says first cause. And I'm like, Science of Mind, because I don't hear other religions talk about first cause, other philosophies, I should say. You have to start at your soul level. Your soul has a body, mind, and ego. But don't live the other way around. I have a body, mind, ego that has a soul. When we're living in our conditions, we're basically saying we have a body, a mind, and an ego, and now what do I want out of that? Instead of starting at the soul level and say, what does the soul level want? And I have a body, a mind, and an ego to help get me there. First cause, start at the top. Oneness, we're all connected. We tend to get lost in the details of life, and then when we want the next ideal parallel world, wonder how I'm going to get there. As we were talking, a couple of us last night. Yeah, let me plan out what I need to do next. What are you doing just thinking about that? Move yourself into the state of being it. What would it feel like to be in that state? I am wealth, I am abundance, I am joy. And if you can practice putting yourself in that state of being, forgetting all the conditions that you see, that you're experiencing, because it's all possible, starting at the top, it's all possible right here and now. If I just let go of everything I've been taught before, like, I was raised in a family that was in poverty. No. What would it feel like? How can you be in a state of what it's like to be wealthy, to be abundant? That's where we need to practice. So, like I said, I could go on and on and on, but of course, I only have so much time. And I really would love to hear from all of you. So again, I invite all of you that are reading the book to please, let's have a conversation. On page 213, towards the end of the book, he writes, "The greatest advice that can be given to you is this: meditate daily. If you do not go within, you go without. If you do not go within, you go without." Meditation takes you in to meet yourself with a capital S. It cannot be explained. It can only be experienced. And I think that's, again, the essence of we're reaching for the experience. I know that we frequently talk about change your thinking, change your life, but what we really want is that experience, right? So, the book, some final words of wisdom. The book you are reading now was primarily to take you on a quantum leap. For those of you reading it, do you feel like it has given you there's heads nodding, to give you a quantum leap into the source of wealth, the non-physical aspects of wealth consciousness that so many others often ignore or unaware of. Ignore, unaware of, and even if they know it, then not want to work it. It takes practice. At the end of every truth is the beginning of a new truth. The quest can never end. It can only get larger and more enjoyable. Imagine that. This is the beginning of a new and beautiful journey for you, not the end of it. But always remember to keep balance. Balance your quest for the expansion of wealth consciousness with quests for other expansion. Enjoy life. Enjoy your time here on earth. Only through balance can you find true joy, true abundance, and wealth. What are you waiting for? What's holding you back? You can be the greatest vision you have ever had of yourself. Yes, the very greatest. No matter how ridiculously great it may seem now, it is all within your reach. Seize the moment now. You have no reason to wait and no one to blame. Be great in whatever way you choose to be great, now and here. And so I will end by saying, be brave. Got a theme song. And have a happy pocket full of whatever you desire. Namaste. Okay, so now we get a little more love from this serendipity. Let's do it.